Welcome everybody, this is it. This is the final match, one way or another, of CALLOUS Invitational 4, and they are getting right to it. It is the linear curve against Undisputed, the second set. If you guys are here, you know that the first set already concluded, and there had to be only one winner. That was linear because there would not be a second set if Undisputed had won. And not only did Linear win, but he won big. He swept Undisputed 3-0. Undisputed's booty is probably still sore from the beating he received from Linear just 4 days ago. So hopefully, even though his booty is inevitably still sore, he has come back with a fresh mind. Because last time, after game one, he tilted hard, he got absolutely snowballed and blown out, and was about to charge in and play the second set, which is a disastrous idea because he was absolutely and admittedly on tilt, and I had to talk him out of it and be like, dude, do you want to win this damn tour or not? Come back another day with a fresh mind. So here we are 4 days later, and we'll see if he took my advice to heart. He is going to have to make the adjustments because last time he was utterly dominated by Linear. Now, does what happened then necessarily have any bearing on what happened now? Maybe, maybe not. Perhaps Undisputed was having an off day, had a headache, had a fight with his partner, or whatever, bad day at work. I mean, maybe he just wasn't in the right frame of mind to play that day. Or maybe not, or maybe Linear is just better than Undy and is good at playing against this opponent. I don't know, you don't know, and we're going to find out together. This is game one in the best of 5. This will be the final set one way or another. And so far, relatively even. Linear probably a little bit ahead. He does have that one spike down. Unclear as to whether or not Undisputed has a spinner, but I would suspect that he might have a clay doll on this team somewhere. It is one of the most common partners in this tour and in general for that Coon and Protect and Surf coming down respectively here. Skarm pretty healthy, doesn't seem to be any major threat for it. We did not see anything from this Mence, so we don't know if it is Fire Blast or not. Standard Skarm Bliss TSS of some kind for Linear so far. Don't know the last two. He does like to switch it up and bust out the surprise move sometimes, but in the meantime, it's looking pretty standard. And same thing with Undisputed. Seems to have a defense-leaning balanced team. There's Surf and Protect once again. Coon this whole time, despite having opportunities, has just spammed Surf, has not opted to calm mind up. And there is another Surf. Undy simply keeping the pressure on, not letting up. Metagross comes into Blissey here. There's a T-Wave. And the Metagross does not have Lumberry. That's gonna stick. Doesn't have leftovers either. Here comes Skarm and Meteor Mash respectively. 31%. Skarm does have Protect, as we know, but it might not live another, and indeed there's a Mash. The first knockout in this game goes to Undisputed. He also gets the attack raise. Swift revenge kill via a previously unrevealed Dugtrio. We've got ourselves a 5-5. Advantage Linear with the 2 layers of spikes, but there's the Claydol that I suspected might be there, and probably those spikes are going to go away, but we already know for a fact there is a Gengar on Linear's team. He opts for Starmie, however, and Undisputed predicts the Gengar, goes for Psychic, and it's going to be not very effective against Starmie, who can now threaten it back with a Water attack. So a tricky position here for Undisputed. He's going to stay in and eat the Hydro Pump, and it's going to do insane damage, 96%, and put Claydol on the Respirator. 10% after lefties, but man, he is either dead or needs to get the F out of the way. T-Tar comes in thinking Blissey will come in. He's right, and Linear's full team has been revealed. Undy's has not. He's got one hidden poke in the back. Nice double switch for Linear, as he is known for, and there very well may be another switch coming for Undy, having to get out of the way of the T-Tar. That is what happens. He's going to show Jirachi here. That comes in on Rock Slide. That is one of his 3 Rock Resists that he brought, Undisputed, with the Metarachi Claydol combo. And we'll see if the T-Tar has a response. There might be an Earthquake coming here. Rock Slide and Fire Blast not usually on the same set, but it does exist. And it is going to be a switch out for Linear as he goes to Blissey. So for as creative and unpredictable as Linear has been throughout this entire tournament, to his credit, in game 1 of this set, he is busting out very, very safe and standard. And Undy opting for a balanced team, relatively safe as well. Seems like a reasonable matchup for Undy. I can see with the pokes that they both have, this has potential to go long. The Dugtrio is definitely a threat for Linear if he can sneak it in at the right time and pick off either the Blissey or the Rachi, but there are definitely ways that Undisputed can win as well, such as setting up that Coon and letting it go insane. So the Blisseys are going to trade status effects, T-Wave and Toxic respectively. Toxic puts a clock on it, T-Wave does not, so we'll see what they both want to do. Finally, the very first pause of the game. It has, as the previous set was, been pretty quick in pace as an overall. There's Ice Beam connecting with T-Tar as it switches in. T-Tar does not have leftovers here, so it showed non-choice band, I believe, Rock Slide damage, and he doesn't have lefties, so he might be looking at a DD Lum Tar in this instance. And this might be a decent opportunity for him to either make a prediction or go straight for the DD and see if he can do some heavy damage to whatever comes in. Of note, the two counters, air quotes, for DD Tar. The Claydol, 10%, probably not going to get it done. However, the Coon is relatively healthy at 92%. That being said, he is paralyzed, and if +1 Tar gets a Rock Slide off, not only can he live the Surf, but I mean, he's got great odds to find that Paraflinch. And DD Tar here could be a real threat for Undisputed, if indeed that is what the set is. But it looks like it's not. It might be 4 attacks or 3 attacks plus Roar. Focus Punch is never found on a DD set, so we can rule that out. Focus Punch comes down, and that is going to take out the Claydol, which was very weak. Now Salamence is going to come in. It's going to get an Intimidate off. That does not have lefties. We might be looking at a CB Mence, which is very common on this kind of team. And we already know that he has Wish support from at least the Jirachi, possibly the Blissey as well. We don't know. But at least the Jirachi has it. And that's going to prompt him out with the fear of Brick Break. Instead, Hidden Power Flying, great bold prediction for Undisputed. These are the exact kind of plays that he's going to need to make to beat an opponent of Linear's caliber. And indeed, he pulls the trigger and goes for Hidden Power as opposed to Brick Break, and he gets the snipe. Starmie goes down, and we've got ourselves a 4-4. This one much closer than the entire first set felt to me. And Linear figuring out how to respond, but I think Linear is not in a great place here. He could still win, certainly. There are still those 2 Dugtrio vulnerable pokes for Undisputed, so if he can make a great Dugtrio play, he could certainly catch up. But man, this Salamence is very, very scary. He's going to have to dance around it perfectly with the Gengar Tyranitar combination in order to not get absolutely devastated by it every single time it comes in. And Linear taking the time, figuring out what to do. The first significant pause of the match that we have seen. It has otherwise been very fast-paced. Linear trying to figure out this late game. Salamence is stuck on Hidden Power here, figuring out if he wants to go to probably either Gengar or T-Tar as the only realistic options here. Dougie's an interesting play. I don't know that he kills Salamence with the Rock Slide, so that seems really janky and risky to me. And of course, he can go to the Bliss and eat the Hidden Power and go for the Ice Beam. He's going to opt for the T-Tar here, which maybe it is choice banded this whole time. I'm not sure. If it is choice banded, this is a really interesting situation. We know the Salamence is locked on the HP Flying, no doubt about that. So what do you do here if you're Undisputed? I mean, Linear can devastate anything if it is choice banded. He just has to make the right play. It'd be interesting here. I mean, Linear is the kind of player who can make absolutely any play. He could absolutely just Earthquake into the Salamence here, which obviously is completely useless if Undy had the balls to stay in. But man, anything else would hate to eat a choice-banded Earthquake here, if that is indeed what we're looking at. Even a Focus Punch, really. Again, any play other than Undisputed staying in and a Focus Punch coming down. That Focus Punch on anything that could come in would be devastating here. They're both taking the time now. This is a really crucial turn. This turn very well. Whoever wins this turn very well may go on to win the entire game. It really is that damn important of a turn. And they both recognize that they are both taking the time trying to figure it out. This is a big one. This might decide game one and the lead and the momentum in this series that has a lot of money on the line. Multiple hundreds of dollars difference between first place and second place in this tournament. and that's to say nothing of the title and the prestige. Linear already the first 3-time finalist here, and would also be the first 2-time champion if he's able to win this match. Nobody else has ever made money in this tour more than 1 time. Linear has done it 3 times. He's also been to the Grand Finals 3 times, the second set of the Grand Finals 3 times, which, no matter what happens, is absolutely incredible here. But Linear has already cemented his legacy, and he is only trying to pad that. If he were to win this tournament, it would be a monumental, probably never to be duplicated achievement. Man, the timer continues to tick. You can feel the pressure. You can feel how much these players give a shit about this game. This is important. They want the title. This is massive. Undisputed still thinking about it. Timer continues to tick here. Cannot get this turn wrong. Both of them taking multiple minutes on this turn. They know damn well how important this is. Looks like Linear's settled on a move. It's Undisputed we're waiting on. Wow. Deep in the think tank. Over 2 minutes. Finally we have a decision. Focus Punch and Kuhn. And that is heavy. That is a 50% focus punch, so it is, in fact, a choice bander this whole time. And now it's going to be on Undisputed to figure out what to do. Looks like he's going to probably surf here, but man, is that bad. If Gengar comes in on the surf, Blissey comes in on the surf, full para happens on the surf, there are definitely ways that this can backfire. Gengar does come in, and it was full para there, so that does actually matter. Yes, Linear failed to kill the Kuhn, can't blame him. Obviously, most people would switch there, but the Gengar there not taking the surf damage definitely could matter as well. And once again, the timer ticking for both. Going to be T-Tar coming back, and again, great anticipation from Linear. This is exactly what he does. And he is going to get in on the Blissey. Linear is so good at making those double switches and controlling the tempo of the game. Linear can snatch the tempo very, very quickly. And he just did it again. Blissey has to figure out how to respond to this CB Tar. Linear has been very aggressive and very precise in this late game, trying to snag the tempo and keep Undisputed on the back foot. And it seems to be working. Linear taking the time, figuring out what to do. He doesn't want to throw this late game. Can't go too far wrong. As long as he doesn't make the one move that's the wrong move here. I mean, the pressure really is on Undisputed. He's got to be perfect. And he is. He brings in the Rachi on the Rock Slide. Focus Punch would have nailed it. Earthquake would have nailed it. Even HP Bug, which it takes neutrally, would have done a pretty good amount. But Undisputed, with the perfect read, is going to steal the tempo back from Linear. Great play for Undy, fighting for this championship. Great call, knew the Rock Slide was coming, and that is crucially going to allow him to pass a wish to the Kuhn, get it up to 67%, and take it out of range of a non-crit attack from the Tyranitar. Huge play for Undy. And he's now going to begin calm minding up. This is almost certainly the best win condition for Undy, but it's not the only one. Both the Kuhn and the Salamence dangerous here, and there is the rest. We're looking at a +1/+1 Kuhn, who is no longer paralyzed. However, we already saw the Roar. We know it's not a Crow Kuhn. We see the full set on the screen. Roar, Surf, Calm Mind, Rest. And there is Seismic Toss. Linear playing it aggressively. Doesn't want the Kuhn to have too many opportunities. There's Rest again and Seismic Toss. Linear has to be very, very careful here because if he were to switch in the T-Tower at the wrong time, the Kuhn could, instead of Rest, go for Surf, kill the T-Tower, and it's a totally different situation. Focus Punch is going to get off here. Linear fishing for a crit. Last one did 50%. This one's going to do 46%. And he does not have the balls to stay in and Focus Punch again. And thank goodness he didn't, because Undy woke up and went straight for Surf, which would have killed the Tar there. but the Blissey came in for the save, and now again Undisputed has to figure out what to do. Goes for the surf, thinking T-Tower is going to come in. That is devastating. Undisputed might be steaming right now. I hope he does not tilt from what just happened. He is outplayed by Linear. He thinks T-Tower's going in. He makes a game-winning play. If he catches the T-Tower there with surf, he's in a fantastic position, but he goes for the surf. The Blissey holds her ground and knocks out the Coon with the huge seismic toss. Linear is now ahead once again, and Undisputed is going to have to rely on this Salamence to take this game down. That was a huge play there. Now, granted, even if the Coon had caught the Tyranitar, the Dugtrio would have come in for the revenge kill, so it would be a 3-3, but it's a totally different situation. Undisputed would have same pokes as Linear as opposed to one less, and he would be able to go to the Salamence to follow up on the Dugtrio. Totally different situation now, and Linear clearly ahead. It's not over, but that was a huge, huge turn favoring Linear, in which he outplays Undisputed and calls his play. Linear again taking the time. As I mentioned in the previous Grand Finals video, Linear is a very highly rated 2200 plus ELO international chess player. Very, very good at clock management. It looks like he's dipping low, and he is, but there is no chance that he's going to time out. He knows exactly what he's doing. One of the best clock managers in the game. Switches Gengar into a hidden power there. Gets absolutely nailed for 83%. Gengar obviously is not going to live that or live much of anything at this point. But crucially, that Gengar is faster, says the sand. Here comes Dugtrio catching Rachi. What a double switch for Linear. The best fucking double switcher in competitive Pokemon. And Undisputed needs a miracle crit or freeze and gets it. He gets bailed out by the 20% Serene Grace freeze when he needs it to give him a breath of life. Amazing setup there for Linear. Fantastic double switch as only he can do. But there is the freeze. That was huge. Now this game has once again become close, but man, that Salamence is getting harder and harder to deal with as Linear runs low on options. Gonna have to make a play here with the Tyranitar. He's gonna have to be right, and he does not have time to think about it. 15 seconds on his clock. Undisputed the one taking the time. The move has been locked in by Linear. He is a clutch player. He is a time manager. He knows what to do in this situation. Can Undisputed make the right play? Crucial to win game one in this set, especially if you are Undy. You were swept before by Linear. You absolutely need to win this game. Give yourself the confidence that you can actually beat this opponent and not just have the deja vu of the really close game one that didn't go your way. Huge risk on Salamence. Undisputed with the outplay. Gets it in on Earthquake. Rock Slide there would have been devastating, but Undisputed going to outplay him. There's the hidden power on Blissey. She's down to 17% and in deep trouble. Undisputed taking the tempo back. Can Linear find a way to deal with this now? We know that he's locked on HP Flying. Obviously, the Gengar and the Blissey would both not survive. Here comes Tyranitar. 26% is what it takes. Now, again, we have Choice Banders staring down each other. One of them is locked, one of them is not. Can Linear now click the correct move and close out this game? It is going to come absolutely down to the wire in this one. The closest game of the entire series, including the first set. This is a huge one as the spectators continue to pile in. We now have 61 people watching this live. Hidden Power and Rock Slide respectively. There's the knockout on Salamence, leaving us in a 3-2 situation with Linear in the lead. Jirachi, the Rock Resist, comes in at this point. Very dangerous Pokemon. In fact, if it Calm Minds once, the Jirachi here could probably clean up. Good chance here, if this is Bolt Beam, that Undisputed could take this, but no, it's Thunder, not Thunderbolt, which obviously is going to miss sometimes. T-Tower comes in and Thunder connects as it needs to. There is the knockout for Undisputed. Linear says GG, and there is the concession. Undisputed with a Game 1 victory, starting this set out the right way. After being swept by Linear 3-0 in that first set, Undisputed gets the win that he needs, hopefully gets his confidence back, and starts out the final set of Grand Finals the right way. With that Game 1 victory, hopefully he is in the right place mentally and can continue to carry this momentum. They're wasting zero time. Here is Game 2. Again, Linear on the bottom, and again, Undisputed on the top. There's Thunderbolt and Crunch, respectively. Even trade as they both do exactly 40%, but there is a potentially relevant specs drop against Undy. And Crunch comes down, which with that specs drop, gets another one that doesn't matter, is going to be enough for the knockout when combined with the sand, but it's all just going to be a trade, as there is a Dugtrio in the back for Undy. We've got ourselves a very fast 5-5, but Fortress comes into Dugtrio, which is interesting. Dougie might consider staying in and Earthquaking here. I mean, the first play for Fori is going to be Spikes, but Earthquake actually puts the Fori on a clock where he actually has to either Earthquake or HP Bug back, which very well may not kill, or just explode potentially into thin air. I don't know that I love the Fori here. Earthquake and Earthquake is the decision, and Undy's going to go for it again, but so is Linear, so he's going to kill the Dugtrio here, but he's going to get his Fortress severely weakened, and he does not get a layer of Spikes down. He switches at this point to Celebi into Gengar, comes in on Thunderbolt, which is probably pretty ideal, takes it very well, and Leech Seed comes down on Lax, which is also a good turn for Linear, looking at what seems to be some kind of balanced team once again for Undisputed, which is what he just won with, and we're looking at a 4E TSS, so the creativity seems to be out the window on this one. They have very different game plans. Linear repeatedly going with TSS, and Undisputed repeatedly going with balance. This actually could be a weird, like a Kingdra team or something from Undisputed. It could be one of those teams where he's got a weird threat in the back. The more likely scenario is it is, in fact, just a balanced team, but little sniff, maybe we're looking at a Kingdra squad from Undisputed. Maybe. And we have our first pause in this game as well, which is way faster than the previous one. We have 3 knockouts already, and we're only on turn 8. It's Linear taking the time here, figuring out how he wants to respond. He did get that Leech Seed off on the Lax. And now Undisputed is also thinking, possibly reconsidering his play. He had locked something in before, and he's now having second thoughts. The final poke on the team for Linear is always hard to say. This team is going to have a Swampert, and probably going to have a Gengar, but the last poke is a little trickier. It could be Moltres, it could be Dugtrio, it could be the double water team, or a variant of it that Undisputed himself built. Blissey is very common on these teams, though it isn't always there with Celebi, because it's hard to find room for both. It could be a Salamence in the back for Linear, and I'm sure Undisputed is thinking about all of these things. So after all of that, we get back to the same scenario that we had before. We have the Lax coming into the Celebi on a Leech Seed, and great call there for Linear. He gets the Fortress as the target for the self-destruct, and hey, I was right. First time for everything. It actually is the Kingdra squad for Undisputed, and it's going to be Leech Seed and Rain Dance, respectively, and that's going to prompt him out. Hidden Power there is just going to try to go blow for blow with the Kingdra. It's going to be not very effective against Gengar, who's now going to go for Will-O-Wisp, and it's going to be a Leech Seed in exchange. So Linear seems to be ahead at this juncture. He does just have the flat-out Pokemon advantage. He's going to Hidden Power again here. I'm not sure if Kingdra was the intended target or not, but he does get some chip damage down on it. He gets out of the way, switches to Milotic. That's going to be Ice Beamed on the way in. No BS Freeze, though there is a crit here. Sand currently not in play because of the Rain Dance, and now Coon comes down, which makes a lot of sense, right? That's a poke that appreciates the sand not being there. And of course, Linear does not have the ability to reestablish the sand. Fortress teams in general are absolutely devastated, like 6-0 kind of devastated. 4E Milo just loses on the spot to Subcoon. But very fortunately for Linear, that is not the set that Undisputed has. Had he gone for Substitute to block that Leech Seed there, we'd be done. We'd be 2-0 Undisputed just like that. but that's not the set that Undisputed has. It's Combine, Ice Beam, and that's all we saw. It might be Combine 3 attacks is probably what we're looking at here. And Kingdra once again comes into Celebi. Interesting that Celebi is the blob. I saw that as the nickname last time on the Blissey. That makes a lot of sense. Celebi, I don't know if that's the blob. Milotic and Coon, Ice Beam, and no BS Freeze there as well. The damage negligible because, like I said, there is no sand in play, and there's not going to be sand in play for this battle anyway. Leech Seed again, and Ice Beam. A lot of opportunities here for Undisputed to get crits or freezes or whatever BS. Linear on the defensive. He's going to get the recover off as Kingdra comes in. That's also pretty healthy still. And HP Grass is only hitting it neutrally because even though water is weak, Dragon, of course, resists the grass type. Faster Celebi right now, pre-rain. And he's going to miss a Leech Seed here, only to be Ice Beamed in response. Pretty heavy damage at 43, but no crit, no freeze. Recover and Ice Beam, Undisputed pushing it, trying to find the luck, trying to find the crucial piece of hacks that he needs to break this game wide open. And another Ice Beam from him, but he's not finding it. Registeel coming down for Linear. Very, very cute. Not what I expected to see here. He busted that out earlier in the tour. Will that be the key to get him out of this game? Linear, for the second time at least, I think it's only the second time, is busting out the handy-dandy Registeel. The poke with no offense, but all the defense. Will that be his salvation here? Not having sand in play is crucial for Linear. This game would be so much easier for him if there were still sand up, but he's going to struggle to kill that Coon without sand. And it's going to be the Gengar switch in. That's going to come in on T-Wave, so this is a good turn for Linear. Certainly Gengar way, way worse when it's paralyzed. Celebi comes in on full para. That's probably ideal, especially if Undisputed had predicted that and gone for a Boom or an Ice Punch on that turn that he now will not get to do. Hidden Power and Ice Beam once again in this matchup, but crucially, Celebi is faster because of the lack of rain. Registeel comes in on Ice Beam and basically negates it completely with lefties. Now it's Gengar's turn, and Linear, with one of his patented double switches that he does so well, finds the matchup advantage here. Going to be Recover and Will-O-Wisp respectively. Not a huge deal when he does have lefties. And of course he has Natural Cure as well. Haven't actually seen the final move from Celebi. It may or may not be Psychic, but if it is, Gengar obviously has to be careful of that. Here's Milo, and there's full para. Gengar again might have simply gone for Boom on that turn, but we'll never know. Boomgar makes a lot of sense to me on this team, given the presence of the Dugtrio and given the need to remove Blissey / Special Walls in general, and given the fact that he's trying to win with these two special pokes, the Coon and the Kingdra. I would assume, even though we haven't seen it, obviously, that we're looking at a Boomgar. Comes in on an opposing Gengar's Thunderbolt, 34%. Gengar can live two more of those because he does have lefties here. Milo and Will-O-Wisp. This again is a poke that doesn't necessarily mind the status. It has Marvel Scale and it may or may not have Refresh. But looking at what Linear has left, man, is that Coon going to be a challenge. There are scenarios where he beats it. If it's Last Poke Coon and he booms or double booms on it, he can certainly get there. Or if it's a non-rest Coon, which it might be, it's either Combine, Ice Beam, Surf, Rest, or Combine 3 attacks. But if it's a non-rest Coon, we might very well be looking at just stalling it out with Toxic and Leech Seed. So there certainly are ways to win this game for Linear, but it's going to be tricky. And the taunts continue here, preventing status moves. This time Undisputed going to oblige with the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt on Kingdra here does a little bit more than the HP Grasses did, but not much. Kingdra finds itself at about half. Might be an opportunity to Rain Dance here. Undisputed has been very reluctant to use that move. Thunderbolt 29% and a crucial para. Really bad turn for Undisputed there. Not only is he 10% parried, but he also misses Hydro Pump. The tide's turning in Linear's favor. Kingdra basically useless now, and Undy's going to let it go. Here comes Coon, 2-4 situation. Will the Coon get him out of this game? There is absolutely a chance for that, especially if Undy can bait out Booms and then switch to his own Gengar and make things blow up into thin air. Selby coming in. There's the Surf. This says that he has 8 Leech Seeds left. He actually has even less because of however many of them he put into the Coon earlier and the pressure ability. So the Leech Seed PP is absolutely a consideration at this juncture, and he's going to be forced to use one here. Leech Seed and Ice Beam respectively, +1 Coon going on the offensive, but of note, the Selby is faster than that Coon. That definitely could matter later. Now is a perfect opportunity. If Linear is Psychic, you've got to just fire it off here. It would kill Gengar, and it's good to hit the Coon, but he does not have it. So it's going to be like last move Heal Bell or something along those lines, because clearly if he had Psychic, he would have gone for it there. No doubt about it. And Undy, reluctant to pull the trigger on Boom, does not want to blow up into the Registeel or the Gengar, tries to catch either of those coming in with Will-O-Wisp. They are tiptoeing around each other here, but the possibility of a Gengar Boom is imminent, and they are both being very, very careful with it. Linear does not want to get his Gar or his Registeel burned, but he also doesn't want to get something crucial blown up on. Probably for Linear, he just sucks it up and goes to Gengar, and if it gets burnt, it gets burnt. He cannot risk losing a key target here to the Boom. And they're both thinking about it. They both know that Explosion here is a possibility. Obviously, Undy knows if he has it or doesn't have it. I think he does. But even if he doesn't, he knows that Linear is thinking about the possibility. And again, a crucial full power. Hell, maybe that full power even saved him. But there's Thunderbolt, and now I think Undy's in some trouble unless both the Gengar and the Regice both don't have Boom. There's Ice Beam on the switch in. He's looking for a crucial, okay, I was going to say Leech Seed, but that's even better. That's going to wrap it up. Perish Song will do it. That's going to allow the Milotic to stall it out, even if something were to happen to the Selby here. Let's say hypothetically that Ice Beam crits and kills him. Even then, the Milotic would be able to stall it out. He just has to click recover a couple of times, and the Perish Song will finish off the Coon. So that is going to tie us up 1 game a pop, and we're going to a game 3, and we know there will at least be 4 games in the second set of the Grand Finals. This one, we're just going through the motions. GG's from both of them. Good sportsmanship. We've got ourselves a 1-1 tie as we wait for the imminent game 3. Linear coming back after dropping the first game that he's lost to Undisputed in either set of the Grand Finals, but he's gonna tie us up. This is good for the fans because it means, like I said, no matter what, there's going to be at least 4 games. It's a best of 5, and 3-1 is the best anybody can do. So just waiting for that 3rd game, and I will grab a sip of my milk in hand. I am not going anywhere. All right, so what's really interesting here is that both times, both players have, I guess more so Linear, but they both kind of stuck to similar strategies. In Linear's case, he went with TSS both times. So in his case, he stuck pretty much the same. Wasn't the same team, obviously, but the same base strategy of just standard-ish, safe-ish TSS. Undisputed the first time, opted for, I'll pull it back up, he had this team here, this balanced team, and then in game 2, he busts out the Kingdra team, which is not the same as a balanced team per se, but it's not a traditional archetype such as TSS, Magdoll, maybe a physical offense with Magneton, any of just the traditional, like a hard stall with Blissey Dusclops kind of crap. They both fall somewhere in the spectrum of balance. Different kinds of balance, but both balance. Whereas Linear, who's been busting out Hariyama and Heracross and all sorts of weird stuff throughout the tournament, has deviated from that here and has kept it pretty standard, which I think is interesting. But I put nothing past Linear, and he is very, very capable to, at any time, including with the entire set on the line, including in Game 5, including being down 1-2, whatever it may be, he is very capable of busting out anything. And I really do mean anything. And here is Game 3. We'll switch the positions. Linear, again, will be on the bottom for continuity, and Undisputed is going to be on the top. We have a Zapdos and a Swampert lead, respectively. This cannot be the last game no matter what, but obviously you want to have a 2-1 advantage as opposed to being down 1-2 if you can help it. They both give each other the HF, and we are underway as they both figure out what to do on this opening turn. And it looks like Linear has decided and Undisputed has not, figuring out if he wants to risk getting hit with a Toxic or an HP Grass from the Zapdos. Has to be careful about what he switches in. Doesn't want to get that hit with a Thunder Wave or a Thunderbolt or whatever it may be. And there's also the possibility that Linear may simply baton pass out. So like Undy, if he goes to like Blissey here, it might be a BP to like a CB-Tar or something difficult to deal with. So tricky turn 1 for Undisputed. Baton passers are always hard to play against because you can have a guaranteed bad matchup on turn 1 basically no matter what, because they're just going to BP to your counter. And in this case, the Zapdos itself is a threat to Swampert, so he's got to take that into account as well. So even though it's turn 1 and it should be simple, quote, quote, it's anything but simple here. And the momentum gained by one of these players, probably Linear on turn 1, could snowball into something way, way bigger. So Undisputed's job here is to not let that happen, is to not let Linear snowball this, is to not allow a devastating BP that just puts him on the back foot from the get-go. Has to figure out how to not let this Zapdos go wild. And he's taking over a minute to try to figure that out. So to really illustrate the complexity of this turn 1 situation, even though it seems pretty simple and innocuous, there's actually a lot more to it, and it can have grave repercussions. Like I said, the whole entire game, first 12 turns of the game, can snowball based on what happens on this turn. And it's going to be protect and substitute. Good turn for Linear, bad turn for Undisputed. He allows a free substitute to come down as he protects to either stay in for a BP, which is fine, because what's the worst that could happen into a Swampert? That doesn't seem like a big deal. And that also would have scouted for an HP Grass or a Toxic or a T-Wave. So I do like and understand the protect. Basically, the only thing that punishes him there is the substitute, and indeed, that's what Linear had. So tough break for Undy. Hidden Power and Ice Beam, respectively. That's HP Grass, obviously. And here is the BP after Ice Beam breaks the sub. But Swampert devastated by the HP Grass and Linear out in front very early on in this game. And he's deciding what to baton pass to into the Blissey here. Undisputed might have once again opted for a balanced team here. This also could just be a TSS team. Too early to know. BP is going to bring out Hariyama. That has been a go-to Pokemon for Linear throughout the tour. That poke has made a huge resurgence in the metagame. At this point, it is way more OU than some of the other quote-quote OUs, such as Regice. This guy's been real. He has been a real mon throughout the tour. And one of the biggest proponents of the Hariyama is the man himself, the Thelinearcurve, who believes in it so much that he has brought it repeatedly deep in the tournament, including here in the grand finals. He genuinely believes in the ability level, the damage level, the effectiveness level of this Pokemon, the Hariyama, and we'll see if he gets paid off. He's going to go Focus Punch, and that is going to smack Fortress in the grill for 57% as that comes in. Undy has defaulted to what has been his favorite and most reliable archetype throughout the tournament, the Fori TSS, which Linear has used a decent amount of as well. This is a great archetype for tournament play. Focus punch coming down again. That's real bad for Undy. He's going to get one layer of spikes down only, and he's going to lose the fortress in the process. Great start for Linear. Yes, Undisputed does have a good follow-up in Aerodactyl, but definitely that transaction, the spikes in exchange for the fortress, is definitely favorable for Linear. Aerodactyl hidden power, that is flying, not bug, but he's going to eat a huge rock slide back. Hariyama with that very, very high base attack stat. Undisputed is presumably locked on that hidden power flying, so Linear can switch accordingly. Here comes something that resists it. It's not new information. It's simply Zapdos, and that should scare off the Aerodactyl here. But it is definitely a good start in this Game 3 for Linear. And it's now Linear figuring out what to do. It is probably just a baton pass here. He could stay in and go for the HP Grass to prevent anything cute from happening here. If Swampert came in, it would die. If Aerodactyl stayed in, it would die. And, I mean, the worst thing is it bounces off Blissey, and then Linear figures out what to do from there, which might just be another attack if he anticipates the Aerodactyl, or it could just be a BP. It is Tyranitar coming in. That would also get caught by HP Grass. Yep, Linear agrees with my play. He goes for the hidden power, and he's going to hit the T-Tower on the way in. 41%. We see the Tyranitar does have lefties. So we have an aggressive leaning 4E TSS here for Undisputed. Very well might be Last Poke Gengar, which would give him a lot of cleaning power here between the Aerodactyl, the possibly DD-Tar here, and the Gengar. It also could just be a Dugtrio in the back, which would give you access to the very old but still effective today Aerodactyl Dugtrio sacrifice strategy, for those of you who are old enough to remember that. But it looks like a pretty cool team for Undisputed. Linear, on the other hand, has only revealed the 2 pokes here on turn 9, and is figuring out what he wants to do in response to this Tyranitar. Very well may simply be a baton pass to a bulky water, but he's going to take an aggressive approach, and he's going to go for Thunderbolt, and it is the much more standard special Tar paired with Fori, and the goal of that is to remove Gengar in order to let Fortress actually get a rapid spin off. So by far the most common T-Tar paired with Fori is the Crunch Pursuit Tar, and that's what Undisputed has here, but that is going to be swiftly taken down with Thunderbolt, and Linear is going to pad his lead. Rock Slide, however, is going to take out Zapdos, so Undisputed are going to cut into that lead, and it's going to leave us in a 5-4 situation with a mountain of unrevealeds for Linear. Only the Hariyama is known. He has 5 pokes left, and 4 of them, until that Celebi came in, were unknown. Celebi makes an appearance and goes for Leech Seed. That's going to catch Blissey on the way in. Still unclear if Linear has a spinner, but this team looks very, very stall-oriented for him. And almost universally, stall teams do, in fact, carry rapid spinners. They're pretty damn important. So, don't know if he's got a Starmie or a Doll or whatever it may be in the back, but I would think there's probably a rapid spinner somewhere. Hidden Power Grass is a nice little catch-all for Linear. Aerodactyl would die. Swampert would die. And if Blissey stays in, well, who cares? Because it's seeded. And he's going to go for it again until Undy shows that he has an answer for it, which he now does. This is actually a very standard team for Undy that he simply chose to disguise by putting a different lead than the norm. It is typically the Venusaur that leads. In fact, I believe that Linear used this team, this exact 6 against him, or very, very close to it, in the one and only game these guys played against each other prior to this tour, which was an SPL game a few years ago, in which very crucially and memorably, Linear missed turn 1 Sleep Powder and got devastated, and Undisputed managed to snowball the game from there and take that one down. Undisputed did win that game. So here we are. The Venusaur has made an appearance. This is a very standard team. He simply chose to reverse the order to disguise it. I have used this exact team in tournament play. I had it used against me in SPL by Tamahome. And Linear, I would think with 99% certainty. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say 100% certainty. Linear is absolutely familiar with this team and with this archetype. He has played against us a million times. He's good friends and he's testing partners with Sunny, Eden's Embrace, who at one point, I don't know if he still is, but at one point was a huge fan of this team and used to spam it. Linear absolutely is well aware of this team and how it works and should know how to play against it. And he's sitting pretty right now with the 5-4 lead, but Undy making a couple of nice plays here. He gets the Aerodactyl in on the Celebi, but he won't pull the trigger on HP Flying, and Linear was going to stay in and take it on the chin and kill the Aerodactyl, but Undy doesn't allow it. Leech Seed and Soft Boiled respectively. Celebi seems very difficult to deal with for Undisputed, and remember, both the Swampert and the Aerodactyl are severely banged up here. It's looking very likely to me, not guaranteed just yet, but very likely that Linear takes down this game and takes a 2-1 lead into a crucial, potentially tournament-deciding Game 4. Leech Seed and Toxic, respectively, putting some kind of clock on that damn Celebi. It's a very difficult Pokemon with what Undy has left to deal with. And unsurprisingly, there is a Rapid Spinner in the back, but is he going to Rapid Spin and allow a Giga Drain or an HP Grass to get off from this Venusaur? That would be devastating against the Starmie. I don't know that he's going to allow this. He also has to be careful about switching because of Sleep Powder here. Porygon 2 did get hit with that before. It could trace Natural Cure from Blissey and remove that, but for now, Sleep Powder is not an option because of Sleep Claws. So for now, it's just a matter of whether or not the Venusaur is going to attack. Rapid Spin comes down, and there's a huge Razor Leaf. Very lucky for Linear that a crit didn't come. He would have instantly lost Starmie if that high critical hit move killed him there, but the crit does not come. Celebi comes in at this point. Obviously, Razor Leaf does very little to that, but the far more important turn was the previous turn, in which that Razor Leaf had a real good shot to instantly kill the Starmie there. But that didn't happen, and the Starmie is going to live to fight another day, and we're going back and forth, blow for blow here. Obviously, Venusaur with the advantage with HP Fire, as opposed to Celebi firing off HP Grasses. But ultimately, the Celebi is not in real danger here. The HP Fires are only doing 24-ish% every time, and Celebi is handling it just fine and recovering it off when it needs to. Neither one willing to switch, neither one conceding an inch. Hidden Power and Recover respectively. Got ourselves a battle of wills here, a stubborn back and forth in which neither one is making any meaningful progress, but ultimately the Venusaur, other than Leech Seed, which it may or may not have, we haven't actually seen that, the Venusaur can't actually recover off this damage, whereas the Celebi can just recover it all day. And finally, there is a switch for Undisputed. Here comes the Blissey. That gets the bad end of a Hidden Power crit, not a big deal. Almost certainly a Soft Boiled coming down here, and that's what happens. And Linear takes that opportunity to bust out the Starmie, which he's probably going to recover with as well, and he does. And the only thing Undisputed can do, unfortunately, to punish that is going to be the Toxic. So the one advantage that Undisputed had, the fact that he had the Starmie weak and he had a chance to kill it, that has been undone. The spike got removed successfully via the Rapid Spin. Undisputed cannot reestablish that spike. The fortress is dead. And now there is no reason not to think that Linear is clearly winning this game, especially given the condition of the Aerodactyl and the Swampert at 21 and 14%. Here's the switch. Here's an opportunity for a kill. Nope, good play for Undisputed. He's going to get some lefties on Swampert, which is really all he can do. He's going to have to find opportunities to get these lefties and then protect for more lefties turns off. That's all he can do. He's going to have to slowly but surely get that healed. But there is Linear. He has been spamming the shit out of fighting types throughout this tournament. It's Hariyama, and now it's Metacham. Goes for the Brick Break. He's got lefties, though. He's not Choice Banded. He gets out of the way anyway as Leech Seed comes down. That's going to be blanked by Celebi. Venusaur in some trouble. Here's Bliss, and Leech Seed going to miss there, but Linear has got the advantage here. The Metacham Hariyama combo is going to be quite the challenge for Undisputed to maneuver around. given what is left and given the condition of what is left for Undisputed. Natural Cure. Here comes Starmie. Here comes Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl cannot kill Starmie, bar a critical hit. Rock Slide, he goes for the flinch because he really, really needs it. He's in a bad place. Goes for it, misses. Surf is going to send Undisputed to the concession stand. And we've got ourselves a 2-1 for Linear. Waiting on Game 4. Linear is 1 game away from being a 2-time CALLOUS Invitational champion. He is certainly capable of doing it. He is a 3-time finalist. Nobody but him has made money in this tour more than 1 time. It's the 3rd time for Linear, and he is now going to have 2 chances to be the only 2-time champion in CALLOUS Invitational history. He won CALLOUS Invitational 1. He got 2nd place in CALLOUS Invitational 2. He exited CALLOUS Invitational 3 with an uncharacteristic and unexpected 1 and 2. And now here he is in the grand finals of CALLOUS Invitational 4 with a 2-1 lead in the final set. 2 opportunities to close this out and be the champ. Can he do it, or will he choke it away? Linear had a 2-0 lead in the CALLOUS Invitational 2 finals, 2nd set, against Cowboy Dan, and managed to choke it away. Dan played excellently, and Linear couldn't finish it, and Dan rallied all the way back to win from down 0-2 to win 3-2. So it certainly can be done. Undisputed, very, very capable so long as he does not tilt, and Linear is not invincible in these situations. We have seen it done both ways. Likewise, Linear was down 1-2 against M-Dragon in the first CALLOUS Invitational, and Linear ended up winning that from down 1-2. So I just want to tell you, not only from playing a lot of Pokemon and seeing a lot of tournament matches over the years, but in this very tournament, it is not a hypothetical. It's not some random thing I saw in a tournament 10 years ago. In this very tournament, it has already been done multiple times. Guys have come back from 0-2 in the grand finals. Guys have come back from 1-2 in the grand finals. Undisputed, one of the all-time greatest ADVers. Very, very capable of rattling off 2 in a row against Linear. But we're going to take it 1 game at a time. Game 4 is coming up whenever they begin, and it has the potential to be the final game of this tournament. Linear on the brink of history, and Undisputed, no matter what, is going to walk away with a hefty chunk of change and with his best ever CALLOUS Invitational finish. But I think even more than the money, I think he wants the title. And it feels great to say that because a lot of people just play whatever games for the money. And that's fine. I don't blame them. Money's great. Money's really important. But I think a lot of people with this particular tour, I think it has finally evolved and gotten important to the people to the point where it really is about the title, the prestige, the win, more so than the money. Yes, a couple $100 right now, especially with the state of the world and Corona and all that. Who wouldn't take a few $100? But ultimately, whether it's 300 something that the second place guy is going to win or 600 something that the first place guy is going to win, that kind of money isn't going to change anybody's life. This is not like winning a poker tournament where you win $3 million. The money's not going to change anybody's life. It helps, it's great, but it's not life-changing. Whereas the title and the history and the prestige and the respect will be there forever. You will be immortalized in the ADV circuit if you win this tour. Winning it twice, I mean, Linear is already a deity, but I mean, winning it twice, just like, go ahead and put him atop the pantheon. And Undisputed, if he wins, I mean, again, he doesn't have anything to prove either. This is already an all-time great ADVer, probably a top 5 ADV of all time, definitely a top 10 ADV of all time, but probably top 5, honestly, truly. So Undisputed really has nothing to prove either, but it just, winning this tour is just a highlight of a career and even more padding on the resume. Ultimate respect forever if you can pull it off. And this is the longest pause between games so far. I don't have any inside information. I don't know what the conversation is between these players. I don't know which one or both we might be waiting on. My guess would be that it's Undisputed waiting on the time. Probably trying to figure out what to do. I mean, he doesn't want to get this wrong. Obviously, his margin for error is gone. He is going to have to make the adjustments here. He started the set off right. He won game 1 against Linear, but the games have been getting progressively less close. Looking back here, game 2, kind of a not super close. I mean, closer than it looked on paper, but nevertheless a 4-0 for Linear. And then game 3, it's now a 5-0 for Linear. So after this game 1 that was really close and Undisputed got there, Linear has started to pull away with a couple of them that have been heavily in his favor. And Undy's going to have to figure out how to bring it back. Very curious what he's going to put his tournament on the line with in this next game. Still waiting on the start, but Linear is just so hard to... I wouldn't even factor in Linear if I'm Undisputed. Linear is so hard to try to predict because he can bring teams like this, which are as bog standard and boring as it gets, or he can bring teams like this, which don't exist. Nobody's brought this ever other than Linear. I don't know what the fuck this team is. I don't think anyone knows what the fuck this team is. It won. I'm not saying it's a bad team, but how can you ever predict this or bring your team with this in mind? How do you go, man, you know, if he has boring Big 5 TSS, maybe I should bring this. Well, if he has Hariyama Metacham, whatever the fuck this homebrew special is, in that case, I should bring this team. You can't do that. You can't predict shit like this. And Linear just does stuff like this too often. I don't think you can predict what Linear is going to do. Just bring a team that he's comfortable with, that he knows is good, that he believes in. Fuck Linear, fuck my opponent. Just, I'm going to bring a team that I know is good, that I'm going to play well, and hopefully that'll get me there. That would be my mindset if I'm Undisputed right now. Man, quite the pause here. One of them might have needed a bathroom break, or Undy might need a minute to think. And I mean, there are no formal rules in place here. I'm going to, pending an emergency, I'm going to make them both play the match tonight as a rule. They're not going to come back and play the remaining 1 or 2 games on another night, but certainly there are no formal rules on waits in between games. Sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's more. Obviously, for the sake of being just as excited and eager as you guys are to get back to the action and see how this ends, I'd like the game to begin sooner rather than later, but can you really fault either player, whoever might be holding this up, for wanting to take a minute and think and get this right? Hundreds of dollars and the title on the line. The next game has the potential to be the final game of the entire tournament. I think they are very justified in this moment for wanting a minute to think and wanting to get it right. I will click into the game the moment it begins. Believe me, guys, I am just as eager as you are. You know, as much as people kind of maybe don't view it like that with me. I mean, I'm the host, right? I'm the organizer. I'm the administrative guy. You've got to remember at the end of the day, I'm a fan, just like you guys are. I do this because I love Pokemon and I love ADV, and I'm very excited to see this as a fan the same way you guys are. And here is that 4th game. I emphasize one more time, this has the potential to be the final game of the tournament. If Linear wins here, we're done. He's the CALLOUS Invitational 4 champ, and he is the only 2-time champ in the history of this tour. If Undisputed wins, we will go to a decisive Game 5. So let's find out. We've got Blissey from both players. Looks like some kind of standard-ish TSS for Undisputed. Less clear for Linear, but also might be a standard-ish TSS from him. And I don't blame them. Just going with one of the most proven, tried and true, reliable archetypes in the gen. I think that makes a lot of strategic sense to me. Mirror matches are not always the most fun to play, but realistically, it is not about fun right now. It's about winning. You bring whatever the hell you think gets the job done. And if they did both opt for TSS, which is not definite yet, but it's kind of looking that way, if they did both bring just balanced, stally TSSs, can you blame them? Anyhow, the Blissies are tossing seismically at each other, and it seems that, if it matters, it seems that the faster Bliss belongs to Linear. I don't know that a Bliss-on-Bliss speed tie is going to ever really come up in this game. I can't imagine what scenario, especially because we know they're both not Combine Bliss, in which a speed tie would actually matter. But for the record, it looks like Blissy from Linear hits the gym a little more often than the one that Undisputed trained. And they're both at full health again, but neither one willing to make a switch or lose even a half inch of ground. They want to get it exactly right. They're sniping each other with seismic tosses, and obviously this is going absolutely nowhere, but they are both nervous about switching. There's a lot of things that could go wrong here. Neither one wants to switch something into a status move or into an ice beam, especially with the possibility of a freeze or whatever BS. So they're both being very, very cautious, and maybe too cautious, but again, can't blame either player for playing safe. There's a fine line between keeping your head in it, playing safe, not getting too eager, but at the same time, you also, at some point, have to just kind of step up and make plays. That's how you win these tours. And here is Linear finally deviating from the pattern. He's going to go to Fori. He's going to opt for Fori TSS, which we've seen a couple of times in this. Linear brought it one time earlier, and then Undisputed also brought it. So both players have brought it once already in this set. Oh, and they both brought it again. We have Fori TSS versus Fori TSS here. Very interesting. I wonder if Linear did the exact same thing that Undisputed did. I wonder if he's got the Venusaur team now and is leading with the Swampert to throw off Undisputed the exact same way that Undisputed just tried to do against Linear in the previous game. That T-Tar probably has HP Fire, and by that I mean Fire Blast. Might have HP Grass, though, for Swampert. He's going to go Thunder here. Interesting. Very well still may have HP Grass, by the way. But yeah, as we talked about in the previous Fori match, even though it's not universal, the most common T-Tar to be paired with Fori is the Crunch Pursuit Tar with the aim of removing Gengar, which neither player has shown to have yet. And we do have a Tyranitar coming in for Undisputed, which is what he led off with. We now know that it is leftovers, and we have no idea what it wants to do. It showed nothing. It's the exact same as before, where I say it's probably a special tar, so Blissy's probably safe here, but you also don't want to just get randomly focus punched or something here. That's not a good turn for Linear. It's going to be a Brick Break to the grill, and Blissy going to have to be careful. She's going to go for Soft Boiled, and it's going to be another Brick Break. Linear treading a fine line here, where he is begging to get hit with a crit, but he's going to keep going. Soft Boiled and Brick Break. Couple more opportunities here to nail him with the crit. Linear trying to get out of it. Soft Boiled and Brick Break again. The next Soft Boiled should put Blissy out of crit range, but I mean, even then, it makes her Soft Boiled a million more times and wastes that precious PP. Right now, she's already gone through almost half of them. She's got 8 of them left. She actually has used half of them. And finally, Undisputed's offense relents. He goes for Pursuit there, and he stays in too long at this point and gets hit with Toxic. So that's bad for Undisputed. But what he did get out of this exchange is he wasted half of the Soft Boileds that Blissy had, and she's now going to have to pop another one. She's down to just 11% after eating another Brick Break there. And Undisputed refusing to relent. Even though he got his T-Tar poison, he is absolutely refusing to take his foot off the gas, spamming Brick Break over and over, fishing for the crit and wasting a million Soft Boileds. There may very well just be a Dug Trio in the back to clean this up, but Undisputed refusing to let this go. Brick breaking over and over. He will die on the next turn to the poison. And there is the Seismic Toss for the kill. Do we have a Dug Trio follow-up? No. It is just a straight-up dead T-Tar and Linear with a 6-5 advantage. He gets soft-boiled off, and there is Rapid Spin in exchange. One layer spikes down beneath Linear's team. Undisputed has none. Fori on Fori. Spikes number 2. Is there a Gengar coming in for Undisputed? It's spikes and spikes respectively. Now is there a Gengar coming in for Undisputed? No, it is Moltres. Rapid Spin comes off. No more spikes beneath Linear's team. Linear now with the clear advantage. Undisputed going to try to maneuver out of it anyway. He gets his own Fori in as the obvious Blissey comes in to deal with the Moltres. And we again have Fori on Fori. Spikes comes down, but any advantage that Undisputed had, which was a bunch of damage on the Blissey and a massive Spikes advantage, those are both out the window. Blissey at 77% now. Granted, she only has 4 soft boils left, but Blissey plenty healthy, and the spikes have been equalized, 1 each. Undisputed did not have the Gengar that he desperately needed to block the rapid spin from Linear, and this is looking quite favorable for Linear. I'm feeling it. It's looking like there's a real good chance he's going to be the CALLOUS Invitational 4 champion, but let's not count our chickens. Rapid spin and rapid spin, spikes and spikes. Not too dissimilar from the Blissey mirror match that we saw earlier. Both of them very stubborn, neither one conceding an inch. They have both placed their trust in the tried and true Fori TSS archetype for this crucial, potentially tournament-ending Game 4, and neither one will budge. They are spiking and rapid spinning back and forth. This is going nowhere, and the beauty of live narration is I can't fast forward through it. Linear finally switches it up. He does have a Gengar all along, and rapid spin is going to be blocked, and Undisputed at this point, especially if that Gengar has the ideal set here of Fire Punch and HP Grass. Undisputed realizes the trouble that he is now in. This Gengar is a nightmare. Only the Blissey can handle it, and this is going to give Linear the spikes advantage over and over again. Whatever Undisputed's last poke is, it is clearly not Gengar because he absolutely would have blocked that rapid spin before when he had 3 spikes down. Last poke could be Salamence for Undisputed. I've seen that variation of this team. He is going to need to make something happen. He is in big trouble right now as Linear inches closer and closer to being a 2-time champion. Fori did get hit with a T-Wave, so maybe Undisputed can find a way to capitalize. Big over-prediction on Hidden Power as Rapid Spin comes down. Undisputed now with 3 layers of spikes beneath him. He is in shambles. Can he find a way out of this game? He goes Hidden Power thinking Gengar will come in, and he misses the opportunity to rapid spin. The reason that Linear is the best, I mean, in addition to being bold, to being creative, to all the other things that he does well, but the number one reason Linear is the best is because he reads opponents better than anybody else. He gave Undisputed the opportunity there to just click rapid spin, which a lot of people would have done. But he knew that Undisputed was going to play around the Gengar, and the rapid spin does actual nothing because he doesn't fucking go for it. Just another brilliant play for Linear inside the mind of his opponent. That's why Linear is at this damn level, because he reads opponents better than any other ADV player that I have ever seen. Will-O-Wisp coming down on the incoming Blissey. Gonna miss with the 75-25 accuracy. Blissey on Blissey once again. And Seismic Toss coming down. That's probably going to prompt a soft boiled from Linear. And the PP, as we discussed earlier, does matter. He's only got 4 of them left. Now he's only got 3 of them left. And Fori makes a reappearance for Undy, probably to just lay another spike. Rapid spin, yes. Finally, Undisputed is going to outplay Linear. He gets the rapid spin off there, doesn't play around Gengar, and indeed Linear does not pull the trigger and go for Gengar. Undisputed getting a little bit of hope here. Can he snowball this advantage? He needs a full para, and he gets it. Undisputed fighting to stay in this game and stay in this tournament. Does he have a roar here? Yes! Sequence of plays for Undisputed, and that is going to draw out the last poke Jumpluff. How about that? and it's going to encore to prompt roar. So Undisputed going to be stuck roaring with this Moltres. Jump Bluff coming down, another linear special. This dude is so unpredictable. In this set, in the grand finals, we've seen Hariyama plus Medicham. We've seen Registeel. Now we're seeing Jump Bluff. Linear brings what Linear wants, and he wins in style. Can he close it out with the Jump Bluff team? One layer of spikes for both of them. Here's the T-Tower reappearance. Swiftly roared out. Here comes Swampert. Will that play around a potential HP grass? Likewise, will Undisputed go for the roar again, or will he go with a fire attack and fish for a burn? The obvious switch here is the Blissey. Moltres otherwise very difficult for Linear's team to deal with. If Undisputed can find a way to remove this Blissey, then he might be able to get it done with Moltres, and now the play that he made earlier makes a lot more sense. Why did Undisputed sacrifice his T-Tower? Why was he so aggressive with his tower? Why did he care so much about removing all those soft boils from Blissey? That's why, because he knows this Moltres is a fucking nightmare if the Blissey gets out of the way. She's only got the 3 soft boileds left, and if Undisputed can make Linear use those soft boileds, this Moltres can take Undisputed to the promised land. This is going to be closer than it looks. Not if he lets Moltres die. Thunder comes down. No para. That did a ton of damage, but the crucial thing is there is no paralysis. T-Tower out of the way. There's Blissey. Undisputed not able to make the call and roar it out, but nevertheless, this should prompt a soft-boiled. Finally, a moment's pause. Undisputed figuring out what to do. Linear almost certainly just going to click soft-boiled here. Fortress coming in, Seismic Toss. Linear goes for the aggressive play, perhaps thinking Moltres would anticipate soft-boiled and go for Roar. Now Swampert comes in for Undy. It's Seismic Toss again. Linear opting for the more aggressive route, possibly thinking that he needs to preserve soft-boiled, but he's going to go for it now. He's going to be swiftly met with an Earthquake, negating a lot of the soft-boiled damage, or recovery rather. He goes to 68%. And there's Earthquake, again, trying to prompt out that valuable PP. Now, the difference here is that because the Moltres ate that Thunder, it can no longer outright sweep the game, because the Gengar will be able to survive an attack from Moltres and then kill it. And then also the Gengar very well may simply be faster than the Moltres. We could be looking at a scenario where it's a slow, bulky Gar and it's a fast Moltres. We don't know. But the Gengar now does handle the Moltres even if the Bliss goes down, whereas it did not before. So Undisputed is going to have to find another way to win. The Moltres can do a lot of damage, but it no longer is the be-all, end-all the way that it was before. However, if it is a last poke mixed Mence, which I have seen on this team, if that's what we're looking at here, that could get it done. That would be a very difficult poke. The Fire-Grass attacking combination is really, really good against Swampert, against Fori, against T-Tower, against Jump Bluff. That definitely could get the job done, and Blissey does go down here with Undisputed playing very, very aggressively to force that to happen. He made a lot of strategic sacrifices to get us here. Will it all be worth it? The biggest obstacle now, if it is a last poke mixed Mence or any kind of Mence, is going to be the Gengar. If Undisputed can find a way to deal with that Gengar, which, I mean, may just include even just paralyzing it, never mind killing it, then Undisputed can get this done. But he needs to find a way through the Gengar. Otherwise, Undisputed can go through this team, knock them down like dominoes. Here comes Gengar. That's an interesting poke. There are definitely sets here that are really, really threatening. Gengar in general is a pretty good last poke here now that the Blissey is out of the way. I am so shocked that he has that Pokemon, by the way. Undisputed did not block the devastating Rapid Spin from Linear earlier. I am flabbergasted, honestly, that Undisputed has a Gengar here. It makes sense on the team, but I cannot believe he did not block the 3x Spike Rapid Spin earlier. That is wild to me, and we'll see if Undisputed is actually just a genius or not. If he chose not to block that Rapid Spin for the sake of keeping the Gengar hidden in the back so we could sweep with it later, and it ends up working, I will get on my knees and kiss Undisputed's boot. I mean, that is a a level of brilliance in ADV that is just beyond my feeble mind. And we will see if Undisputed can pull this off. I am flabbergasted that he has Gengar here. There'd be nothing to think about for me. I would have blocked that 3x spike rapid spin every single time. I would have gone to Gengar every single time. But Undy didn't, and we will see if he knows best. The issue remains, how do you deal with the opposing Gengar? He can deal with it defensively, so if he can find safe opportunities to get his own Gengar and his Moltres in, Linear does not have good switch-ins to those things. So it's going to be a cat and mouse game here of Undisputed trying to sneak in the Gengar and the Moltres, both of which are really low, and Linear either calling that and attacking as they come in and killing them, or if Undy's right, Linear not having a good switch for those things and being in trouble. There's Taunt, which is the exact set that Linear needs here. Stopping Thunder Wave is crucial. Fori going to sacrifice itself now. Not looking pretty for Undy. His best answer to Gengar is Gengar. I don't think that's going to be a winning play. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but I think Undisputed's in some trouble. Will-O-Wisp and Thunderbolt. This might be just about over. Here comes Blissey. Can she find a way out? I think Gengar cleans here and takes out both the Moltres and the Blissey. We might be done here. Will-O-Wisp and Soft-Boiled respectively. There's no taunt. I can't believe Linear didn't block the Soft-Boiled there. Is that a choke? He allows the soft-boiled to happen, and I don't know why, but there's double soft-boiled from Undisputed. Linear might be screwing this game up. I think he would have won right there if he had gone for taunt. He'd be able to kill the Moltres and the Blissey. I think Linear might have severely fucked this game up. Is he choking, or does he have a master plan? Thunderbolt coming down again. Seismic Toss. Blissey cannot touch the Gengar here. Oh, this is coming down to the wire. Blissey no longer taunted. She's going to get taunted again. And obviously can't soft-boiled with the taunt. What's the plan here for Linear? Does he think he can just beat the Blissey anyway, even though he didn't stop the soft-boiled? It's starting to look that way. Is Linear also just one step ahead? Is Linear also just a mad genius who knew that he could beat the Bliss anyway without stopping the soft-boiled? We're about to find out. Last move has not been shown for Gengar. You would think that it's Ice Punch, but it actually could just be Boom. And they're pausing here, but, I mean, it looks almost certain to me that Linear's got this. Here's the Moltres switch as Tyranitar comes in. Nice play for Undy, but I don't think it's enough. There's the Flamethrower for the kill, but doesn't the Gengar just clean here? I guess what Undy's banking on, and the only thing he can bank on, is that his Moltres is faster than the Gengar here, and the sand tells us that it's not. I think that's the ball game. Here's the Bliss fodder. There's the Thunderbolt. She goes down. Here's Moltres. Oh, this is going to be so close. The burn is going to take it out. Now Jumpluff is going to have to get there. It's going to have to hit the Leech Seed or the Sleep Powder. It's going to connect with Leech Seed. There's Flamethrower. Does Swampert have Protect for the win? It's going to need it. Does the Swampert have the Protect to win the tournament? He does. 100% Protect comes down. Moltres is going to die to the Leech Seed. Linear has made history. He is the first-time, two-time champion of CALLOUS Invitational. He's the only three-time money winner, and he is the only two-time champion. Linear, by far the best player in CALLOUS Invitational history, and very, very possibly the single best ADV player of all time, bar none, the most dominant ADV player of the past half-decade, and has a very, very real argument to be the best that's ever fucking played. Amazing for Linear, defeating an all-time opponent in Undisputed, had his number throughout. In total, 3-0 in set 1, 3-1 in set 2. It is a 6-1 stomp, favoring Linear over a world-class opponent in Undisputed to really, really give you an idea the level that this guy in his prime is playing on. Congratulations to all three money winners. Ban Manaphy in third place. Undisputed here, our runner-up. But our winner and our history maker, I mean, live before my eyes, making history in a feat that will never be broken or duplicated. Linearcurve has won this tour against the odds, is the only 3-time moneymaker and the only 2-time champion, and he is the undisputed king, pun intended, of ADV. Congratulations one more time to the champion of CALLOUS Invitational 4, the Linearcurve. I will see you guys one more time for the final video of this tournament, in which I'm going to thank everybody who helped me and go through all that closing stuff. But in this moment, let us celebrate our winner. That, again, final time, is the Linearcurve. Thank you guys for watching.